Welcome to the second video in our series on solution selling time simplicity as a workforce management tool. In the previous video, we explained how our two products, TimeWorks Plus and Time Simplicity, provide tools for improving your client's gap coverage, employee awareness, and budget control with the basic features listed here: employee notifications, shift changes, clock lockout, and who can work this. This video continues addressing those workforce management objectives by demonstrating some more functionality in those areas, as well as a fourth objective of Labor Insight. Labor Insight is when managers have quick access to data that assists them in evaluating employee performance. When an employee punches in late or punches out early, TimeWorks Plus's schedule deviations can help managers by consolidating attendance data. This video will show that feature in action. We'll also examine time off requests, which are a major component of both timekeeping and scheduling. This video demonstrates how using workforce management addresses both employee awareness and gap coverage in the time off process. Keeping employees happy with their schedule isn't just good for morale, it also applies to maintaining the objective of gap coverage. When a client makes out the schedule, they want to have the right employee at the right time. With Time Simplicity's schedule preferences, managers can use the employee's preferences to help guide their scheduling process. Lastly, this video will show the regulatory benefits of Time Simplicity's schedule compliance rules. The possibilities with this feature are numerous, but in this video, we will key in on a basic compliance rule that a company can use to enforce some restrictions in scheduling. This video is designed to show you the benefits primarily contained within Time Simplicity and show you how to present them to your prospective client. If you want more information on how the features are set up or how you can create these scenarios in your own demo account, please see the accompanying step guides and knowledge base articles. In this first scenario, we'll examine how Workforce Management Suite addresses employee attendance issues. Sawtooth Ski and Bike is an outdoor recreation shop in the mountains of Idaho. Employees love working and playing in this rural paradise, but sometimes the play interferes with the work, and management is concerned that some employees are habitually late. During tourist season, no manager has the time to monitor attendance, and when they do get a chance to look at the time cards, they would rather not jump back and forth from time card to schedule to see who was late and by how much. They also want some control over what constitutes as being late, and even see when employees are leaving early. All this can be visible on the time card, but in addition to seeing it per employee, they also want a report. By using attendance deviation thresholds defined in TimeWorks Plus, the process of monitoring attendance is much more efficient. This schedule for the week of the 18th has been published and posted, so not only is it visible to employees, but it's also been sent to TimeWorks Plus. Once the week starts, the shop manager Glenn can log into TimeWorks Plus and pull up the daily time cards and see not only the schedules, but also the deviation details in the alert column. Looks like it's been a pretty heavy day for infractions. The hover over of each alert will explain the details of the deviation. One employee in particular, Damian Easley, has been warned before about being late, so Glenn is going to get some more details on him in particular. By selecting Scheduling from the main menu, choosing the Schedules versus Time Cards by Employee option, and clicking his name, Glenn can view his deviations for the pay period on a consolidated page. That page will also have an hours comparison graph that can provide a nice visual representation of the issue. Finally, for a consolidated look at all his employees, Glenn can return to the scheduling homepage again and select the deviations report. There he can choose whatever date range he wants and see all deviations listed with details. If you're familiar at all with the features of TimeWorks Plus, you know that with accruals and time off requests, you can provide advanced leave management to your clients. And when paired with Time Simplicity, you can take that management of time off a step further. Similar to how schedules are pushed to TimeWorks Plus, approved time off requests are pushed to Time Simplicity. This means when the two systems are combined, employees and managers are time off aware, and the occasional scheduling oversight can be handled. This scenario demonstrates how TimeWorks Plus improves employee awareness of available time off and notifies a manager when a request is submitted. It will also show how Time Simplicity displays vacation on the schedule and handles conflicts. It starts with an employee logging into their employee self-service portal. Ingrid has an opportunity to join a whitewater trip at the end of the summer, and she's been dying to do this for years. She already took a Friday off in July for a quick camping trip, but after running her accruals report through the week of the river trip, Ingrid can see she has enough vacation and doesn't have to bug her manager to see how much time she has left. She submits the request, and after her manager Glenn gets an email letting him know she's put in a request, he logs into TimeWorks Plus himself to approve it. But before he does, he's going to check the schedule for that week to make sure he's got enough coverage. Looks like it's clear, nobody else has taken time off. He approves the request, which not only puts the 40 hours of vacation on the time card, but also deducts it from her vacation balance. And Ingrid will get an email back herself, letting her know that she can start planning for her trip. And of course, through the integration, that approved vacation will get pushed over to Time Simplicity, so when the time comes for Glenn to make the schedule, he knows he can't schedule Ingrid. This scenario shows how workforce management handles things when everything goes right. But what about when things don't work exactly as they should? Suppose an employee has already been scheduled and the manager didn't realize it when approving the request. Leo Merriam works for Glenn in the shop, but he primarily works in the hard goods department under a different manager. Turns out that after Glenn scheduled Leo for a cashier shift in the shop, the other manager approved Leo's time off request without checking the schedule. Looks like Glenn's colleague wasn't paying attention when he approved the request. He should have seen Leo had a shift in another department. Fortunately, Glenn catches this when he notices he has an open shift on his manager dashboard. Now he can figure out a replacement, possibly getting that other manager to work a cashier shift. Most employers now try to give their employees some flexibility in their schedule. In environments where hours and schedules may vary, some businesses try to accommodate an employee's preferred days and times for work. Time Simplicity handles this with schedule preferences, an optional feature where an employee can initiate their desired scheduling structure, a manager can approve, deny, or modify that structure, and when the schedule is being created, those preferences can be referenced to try and match that employee's preference. Mark Hoops was just hired to work in the hard goods department at the Stanley location. His manager told him he could go into the ESS portal and enter his schedule preferences for when he would like to work. Mark uses his timekeeping credentials to log into the ESS and select Scheduling from the menu. He has the option to block off the time periods with one of four preferences: like, don't care, dislike, and can't. Mark's pretty flexible with his schedule, so he sets most of the week to don't care, although on Saturday mornings he likes to get out for an early ride, so he's going to set 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. as dislikes. He also has a side job that requires him to be available Thursday night, so he's going to set those hours to can't. Once Mark thinks it looks all good, he'll submit it to his manager for approval. And that's an important thing to remember. As mentioned earlier, the use of this feature is optional, but managers can still have the final say over the schedule preferences before they go into effect. They can be overridden as well as modified by the manager, if configured as such. Mark's manager just got an email that a preference request has been submitted, so he logs into TimeWorks Plus and goes into scheduling to check it out. The manager dashboard has a dedicated taskbar labeled Preference Change Requests, and Mark's manager can review his schedule preferences. Since everything looks acceptable, they are approved and go into effect. So how does this actually affect the scheduling process? Well, first of all, the preferences are always visible on the scheduler, right under the employee's name. But suppose a manager does happen to add a shift to an employee at a time that they dislike. the scheduler will alert them. And if they add a schedule during an employee's can't work period, they will get warned as well, but still have the option to override. Scheduling is more than finding an eligible employee based on skill or preference. There are often organizational or regulatory restrictions that dictate an employee's schedule. The schedule compliance rules in Time Simplicity offer plentiful options for enforcing rules like minimum and maximum shifts, shift proximity, consecutive days worked, operating hours, and scheduled beyond an employee's max. Sawtooth Ski and Bike has quite a few part-time employees, and they prefer to keep their schedules below 30 hours per week. When a manager unknowingly schedules Josh Cobb for a shift that puts him over 30 hours, she is prevented from assigning him that schedule. Now, this scheduling rule doesn't have to have a strict enforcement. It could instead be a warning, but the end result is the same. Schedule compliance rules in Time Simplicity help automate rules and regulations that your client needs to consider when scheduling employees. As mentioned earlier, this video was designed to introduce the solutions you can demonstrate to a prospective client.